The climb continues, baby. The climb continues. Pick up your tickets. Get your tickets
sure does.
before we're sold out, baby.
It sure does. Well, welcome back to another episode of Seminoles Sideline 365. Once again, I am your host, KB, and alongside with me is Bruce. To start off the show once again, if you are not already a subscriber and you like what you see, or if this is your first time, go ahead and click the subscribe button, the like button, and helps us get the word out there about the show every week, and also alerts you whenever we have a live show every single week. Also, if you are more of an audio listener and can't make the show every week, go ahead and look us up on Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and you can listen to it on your ride into work or wherever you're going this weekend. So once you've done those things, we can get locked in here. So we did.
Hey, and you forgot to say, we're always free, baby. We are always free. You know, a lot of people think subscribe, it's going to link you into something. No, it's free, baby. It's free.
Yes, it is free. It is free. Free for all the fans. So it's been How are everything? Before we get into the business today, we're going to cover fall camp week 2. Any big news from there, we'll go over here today, and then we'll break down our part 2 series of our schedule review, where we'll go through the next 3 games on the schedule.
4 games.
4 games. Yeah, next 4 games on the schedule. The second part of the schedule, and we'll give our projections there. But before we get into that, how is everything on your end?
Hot as hell down here in Florida. I hope those early teams that are coming down here, like Duquesne, I hope they have the heaters turned up. They probably don't have an indoor facility. I'm going to guess they don't. They should be down in like freaking Texas or New Mexico working out for like a week, or come down Florida State for a week, rent out Jacksonville High School outside. I'm telling you, it's hot. I mean, it was 94 degrees today. Tomorrow it's going to be like 97, So, and high humidity. Rotations are going to be important. So it's been really hot, but I did play golf yesterday, but there was a lot of shade on the course. So I was able to get in that shade and everything. But, hey, I got a little bit of a bone to pick, and I want to bring this up now.
I know nothing about this.
No, I know. You can distance yourself. Listen, I made a challenge in the spring to Big Coop, and to Coach Norvell. I said, listen, for charity, this is not about us. This is about local charity or national charity, whatever groups you guys want to pick. You pick them. I've got my own favorites. I have my own favorites, but you pick them. I love St. Jude's Hospital. We're going to do this for charity. I put out a challenge race, because Coach Norvell and Coop, they run this little sprint right after, right during practice there. I put this out in the spring, got no answer. I think they think I'm kidding. I said it was 200 before. I'm going to 500. $500. The 2 losers put their money down. It goes to the best charity that they want to pick. We'll let Coop pick it. And, sometimes I think people think I'm kidding. I've got an envelope here, and they think it's stuffed with paper or something. The hell with that, baby. The hell with that. This ain't no joke. This ain't no joke. Right here. $500, all in 20s.
There you go.
All in 20s. This is not made up. You can see this ain't play money. That's real money. Okay? I get no reply. I put it out again today on our Twitter account. If anybody's out there and they have a direct ear to Coop or they have a direct ear to Coach Novell, I'm not kidding. Listen, come on. This isn't a stunt. This is for charity. And I'll take you both on. I have no fear. Okay? All right. That's what I got. And look, I'm putting it back into the envelope, but it went from $200 to $500. There it is.
Well,
they can hold the money when I put my sneakers on. I don't know. Do I have to go down there and hold a sign, right there at the graveyard there?
It may not hurt.
What do you want me to do, KB? What else can I do?
I think the next step may be to make a little sign outside of practice one day. Just
let's juice this run up a little bit.
Do a little picket.
All right. Hey,
yeah.
One last thing.
What?
One last thing. Then we'll get into it. But this is important. One of our own FSU alumni, former player, Leroy Butler, going into the Hall of Fame tomorrow night. Now, the Hall of Fame game's on now. I watched a little bit of it. It's kind of like watching practice films. It gets kind of boring.
Yeah.
Guys are fighting for jobs. I get that. The rookies are fighting for jobs. I get that. By Leroy Butler, I watched almost every one of his games during the college years. And you say, well, when were those college years? About 1988 to 1990. Okay. He played under the legendary Bobby Bowden. But the thing, if you as fans out there don't remember Leroy Butler, he is remembered for one big play. Okay. And I'm going to, I've got a few notes here. I want to make sure I get this right. He is remembered for the punt rooski called by Coach Bowden, 1988 against the rival Clemson Tigers. We're backed up on our own 21-yard line. It's fourth down with a minute, 30 seconds left to play, and the score's tied 21-21. What are you going to do, Coach? You're going to punt it? We go back and punt formation. Bowden calls for the trick play. The snap goes back to the up back, Dane Williams. It slipped off to Butler, who runs 78 yards, baby, all the way down. He couldn't quite get there. He gets right down there, and we kick a field goal. Florida State wins. It was crazy. I watched the game on TV. Some of you folks weren't even alive then. It was unbelievable. Leroy Butler carried that ball, carried us to glory that day. And then he gets drafted in the NFL. He's picked in the second round, like the 48th draft pick by the Green Bay Packers, spends his entire career with the Green Bay Packers from 1990 to about 2001, I think it was. Great career, made all pro. They won the Super Bowl. They beat the Patriots that year. Okay. This guy and you know what? He's a great guy off the field too. So look, salute Leroy Butler, one of the greatest players ever to play the game and ever to play at Florida State.
Absolutely. Yep. Great recall there and great call out. Look out for him tomorrow for that ceremony if you can watch it, if you have cable. But excited for that as well. So, I think we covered the bases. Nothing much going on my end. It has been hot, but we got some thunderstorms tonight, thankfully. Cool things down. And, ready to move forward. So, let's pick up on some news and notes from around camp. Once again, we're in full pads this week, which is great to see. Once again, you can take as many observations as you want out of camp. You're just playing against yourself, really. The only thing you're really looking for is to no major injuries, which as of now, there's been no reports of any major injuries, which is.
Let me interrupt you just for a second. There was a hint at a couple of not so serious injuries on the O-line coming out of practice today. Okay. And that was from Coach Norvell. He didn't give names. I'm assuming they were a couple of starters, giving everything I've heard. And of course, the media guys didn't really follow up on it because that's a sin if you ask the coach who they were, because no coaches want to give out names.
Well, as a rule, Florida State doesn't really technically report on injuries, which is.
I know. But it looked like it was a couple of the starters, maybe, so they were able to shuffle some other guys in there. I get all the rules. I get all that. Sorry to interrupt you, KB.
No. But so that was really the biggest thing. No major injuries have been reported. Once again, with Florida State, it's hard to tell because really the coaches have an informal rule where they don't really kind of give that up to the media, unless it's kind of obvious, So nothing on that end. Really, what you're getting is news and notes from receivers looking good. There's been rumors about Brian Courtney kind of looking pretty consistent early on. He's a true freshman. kind of filling out that tight end position. But you don't,
who's never played tight end before.
Exactly. So I think maybe it's just some surprise of how maybe more polished he looks, having been raw at that position. A lot of great things coming out about Julian Armella, who's been one of the top rated recruits on the offensive line that's ever come to Florida State in the last 5 to 10 years, living up to his high 5-star recruiting rating out of high school. They say he kind of looks the part. He's going against Jared Verse, the transfer, out of Albany, and he's able to hold his own against him. And there's going to be mistakes. He's a true freshman. He's probably not going to see a lot of playing time, but showing when you're able to bring in the caliber of athlete like Julian, he's a legacy Seminoles dad played here. These are the guys. When you bring in high talent guys, those guys don't need 3 to 4 years of transition time to be able to play for Florida State. Those guys can, if 2 or 3 guys go down, you can put them in and they can play some type of role for you this season potentially. You don't want them to have to go in and plug them in right away, but it seems like you're bringing a higher caliber of offensive line athlete, and they're able to get high quality reps against the starters. And that's the thing that's going to bring up the level of quality on this program, is that you don't have starters playing against low quality backups. You don't have your backups playing against lower quality backups. You're raising the floor of the program. And when guys go in practice and the ones are playing against the twos, and the twos are playing against the ones, and twos are playing against the threes, the talent gap isn't dramatic anymore. It's becoming a little bit tighter. And so every rep is a quality rep. And I think that's really what you're starting to see more and more in practice, is that there's not as huge of a drop off between the ones and twos in certain positions. Other position groups, I think maybe like the wide receiver room, tight end room, other things like that, there may be a bigger gap. As of right now, we're still trying to put that room together. But I think in stuff like the offensive line, where Coach Atkins has done a great job of starting to fill that room with not just bodies, but quality bodies, you're starting to see a lower drop off on that, especially when they go against the defensive line. But those are the biggest things. And you got guys like Darren Williamson come back. He was injured, and he was starting to show some flashes early when he got back into practice. Tate Rodemaker has been getting some call outs. Once again, I don't trust Tate till he's actually in the game, but it's good to see that he seems to be getting more consistent. And then there's some rumors about Deuce Spann showing off his big body, using his 6'7" size to up and catch passes, which is what you want to see. But once again, he's a truly raw guy, and I don't think we're actually going to know what he looks like until he's
talking about Deuce or Johnny Wilson, who's 6'7".
Oh, sorry, I was talking about Johnny. But Deuce also got some praise. But Johnny, like you said, is a 6'7" receiver. But Deuce also transfer is pretty raw. Both those guys, I'm not going to trust until I see them actually do it in a real game situation. But this is all we can take out of it. The last thing I want to bring up is the most consistent thing I've heard out of all practices, from coaches to players when they're interviewed, and from all the media outlets, is that Azaria Thomas looks like he's the real deal in terms of being able to play defensive back position, being able to play as a true freshman, and being one of the, basically one of the top guys they've seen come into that position in a while. And Florida State's had a great tradition of bringing in defensive backs, but they say he looks the role. He prepares for the role the right way. And you remember, he was one of these recruits they got the last minute, essentially. They got it right on signing day, and he kind of took away a little bit of the sting when you lost your top recruit, the number 1 recruit in the country. But he's a 96 star, 96 rated recruit that you brought in at the last second, and he's starting to, and he's actually showing it in the practice field. But once again, you take it with a grain of salt. But I'm really excited about him, because I think he's going to be able to make a game 1 impact based on everything I'm hearing in terms of his consistency and the way he holds himself at that position. So those are kind of my initial things that I've kind of grasped so far. But I know you're able to watch it a little bit more than I am. So what do you want to?
Yeah, obviously we're not standing there at practices, but I don't think you learn that much more standing there. I mean, in terms of action, I put out a tweet earlier this week that, man, I'd love to see a scrimmage or two against like crosstown Florida A&M.
Yeah. Okay.
Now they're not a Power 5 team, but you know what? They got guys. They play football. Let's bring them in. Bring freshmen against freshmen in. Bring the team against team in. 7-on-7s. You know what I mean? Yeah. Some just controlled situations. I don't think I've ever heard of that being done in college football, and I've brought this up before. It's done in the pros all the time. In fact, Miami is getting ready to have controlled scrimmages against Tampa Bay. This goes on because it's the only way you can really see how guys are, because you don't care about the other guy on the other team. You don't have to live and eat with that guy.
Yeah.
I wish they would do that.
Well,
then we'd learn more, because right now what we're learning is, as you said, KB, okay, this guy caught a pass. This guy looked good. He grabbed one. I heard Johnny Wilson has had a good day on today, as well as this week a little bit. Keyshawn Hilton made a great catch in the end zone, I think it was, and so on. And Micaiah Pitt, when you hear the coaches talk, they're throwing out all the names. Now, it's impossible for every guy, but I get how that works. We get how the coaches have to throw out that praise because they know kids are watching this stuff. And maybe they're doing all this stuff, and that's great. But the bottom line is, do you make that key catch? Do you make that catch in the game that counts? Yeah. That's really what it's going to take. Supposedly, the secondary is going to be a strength. It looks like the defense is going to be much better than where we were last year. Okay, we've kept the coaching staff there together. We've kept a majority of people returning there back to starting positions. I think there's going to be increased rotations there early in the season because they have quality backups now. Yeah. I'm excited to see Dennis Briggs moving out to Fox now on the defensive end. Mm-hmm. I think this guy could make a difference. This guy could have a money year. Okay, he's certainly going to hold his own there against the run. Can he get to the quarterback? Does he have enough speed and agility to get to the quarterback? I thought it was kind of interesting when I heard one of the media guys there, on field media guys, not associated with, they cover Florida State, but they're not associated with the university. But one of them said, well, the quarterbacks were limited due to the shuffling of the offensive line around. And I thought to myself, well, what if your quarterback goes down in the regular game? You don't start limiting your playbook at that point. All your quarterbacks, or at least Tate, he should know the full playbook. So you mean if you put in two extra guys on the offensive line, all of a sudden it changes your whole game plan? It could, but we're hoping that the depth in the offensive line shouldn't have a big drop off.
Well, don't you mean that the rotation, that it just mean I took that as meaning that all the offensive line didn't know the same blocking schemes and packages, so they couldn't run as many plays yet.
Yeah, but some of the backups have been there a year or two. I'm not talking about putting in a freshman. Okay, I'm not talking about putting in a freshman. In that regard, but whatever. Whatever. Yeah. So. Not a lot learned this week. No major injuries that we've heard about, and certainly no injuries to the guy we're riding on. We're riding the same horse, and that's Travis.
Yeah, that's the key thing.
All the quarterbacks got green jerseys, but you can twist an ankle. I was a little floored to see them catching footballs when they're throwing to each other, just warming up. Now you say, well, is that a big deal? But guys jam their fingers all the time with balls being thrown. Ask basketball players.
They might as well just wear gloves or big.
No. How about having some other guy stand there, a TA, to do it? Okay, just saying. Okay.
But I think the conclusion is no major injuries yet, which is great.
I got one other thing.
What is that?
Now, one thing, Coach Mike left his coaching 101 words at one point when he really kind of ripped into the special teams. I think that was on Tuesday because they had Wednesday off.
They had a blocked kick.
Well, they had a snap that kind of rolled back. They had a blocked kick, I think. And he basically said that whole side, that special teams, didn't look good. He didn't quite use those words like I would use. He just said they need a lot of work there.
And they have, it's that whole special team side has not been.
And we had problems there last year.
Yeah.
And the guy that I've been looking for a little bit is the guy that came on as a preferred walk-on. The guy I'm talking about from Columbia?
Yeah, from Columbia.
Mickey Russo. I think it's Russo.
Yeah.
I didn't even I had to look him up because I hadn't seen him on any film, any media film at all. And I saw these guys catching punts. I never saw him, but I did see him on some film catching a few punts on the film I looked at today. Now he's working with the wide receivers, and he's also working with the punt return guys. But I thought there was kind of this big hype. He's going to come in, and
I think you're the only one that was hyping him.
I think he will.
Anyone else
I hope they give this guy a chance. I mean, for what we're seeing so far, we'll see. Maybe they have to screw up a few times before he gets his opportunity.
I think you're good enough, you'll play.
You know, he may not be the fastest guy down the field, but if he can catch the punt, that's important.
Okay. Yeah, I think I would agree with you there. So yeah, no injuries. You want to see consistency, and that's really what you're looking for at this point. The only other big breaking news I'll probably want to cover before we get into it is that we did get our last transfer of the year to commit. That kind of will close out the class at this point. And it's an interesting transfer. It's someone that we had tweeted about.
It's a signature transfer, not just a commit.
Yeah, it's a signature.
Yeah, I see there's a difference.
We'll play this year.
I tweet about that a lot. To me, commit means nothing to these guys anymore. It's basically when you sign.
Yeah. So Malik Feaster is a transfer from Jacksonville State. And you may remember him because this is the team that beat us. Jacksonville State is the team that beat us last year, defensive back there. So once again, the team looking to bring depth into that secondary, which is going to be probably one of the strongest points on the year. Once again, this guy brings a veteran presence. He was an A-10 or Atlantic Sun Player of the Week multiple times there. So he's not going to be slotted in as a starter. You don't need a new starter. But I think what it gives you is a great additional piece as part of that defensive backfield. Another
he could
kind
play
of
nickel
leader.
too.
Yeah, exactly. I think
and special teams.
Yeah, more depth, more leadership. I don't think you can ever go wrong there.
A lot of these guys have to remember too, when they go to the next level, go to the NFL, a lot of them make those teams by being a good special teams player.
Yeah.
If you can't play special, I don't care if you're a running back or whatever, you've got to play special teams.
And I think that's really where he's probably going to start because he's so late getting into camp that's probably where he's going to be starting.
Why was he so late getting into camp?
I don't know. I'm thinking it's probably he had to get summer school grades probably put together, and that's probably what helped things up. So welcome him to the team. Excited to have him a part of the backfield, or defensive backfield. So let's break into it now. So tonight we're going to be going over the kind of the middle half of the schedule, breaking down those games, and let's go ahead and kick it off right away. So the middle half of the schedule, if you're not, if you haven't been catching or if you haven't been looking it up, I'll pull it up on the screen right now so you can kind of see. So the middle half of the schedule you have here, we're going to be going through the Boston College, Wake Forest, NC State.
No, we already did Boston College.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Wake Forest, NC State, Clemson, and then Georgia Tech. So these 4 games in the middle part of the season going through October, basically the month of October, is what we're going through, is that middle third there. So let's go break it down now. Let's start with Wake Forest then. That's going to be in Tallahassee, which is good. You're playing a Wake Forest team that was competing all the way till the end for the ACC title, and they bring back a lot of people. They just seem to make the most out of the talent that they can get. They bring back their talented quarterback, Sam Hartman. Like I said, I don't do a ton of Wake Forest research. I just know that they don't lose a lot every single season because they're not getting guys drafted out of the draft, but they always have this super senior team and then have capable backups. So I think at home against Wake Forest, you're going to still struggle. You struggled with them last year. I know we're capable of playing better. We should have a better football team than them, talent-wise, but we know that's not always how things work out when it's all said and done. You lost by 21 points to them last season. You kind of got blown out in the first half and could not even come close to scoring in the second half last year. And that was on the road. But I think you're still going to struggle. You didn't have Jordan Travis for that game last season, which hurt you. Obviously, you were with Milton, who couldn't move the ball. You were able to. really weren't able to contain the passing game, the rushing game. Sam Hartman almost had 300 yards passing. They were able to run all over us. I think it'll be a lot closer because hopefully Travis will be still healthy. If he's not, then you're going to have the same result. But I'm going to pick Wake Forest by 7 in this game. What are your thoughts?
I agree with a lot of things that you said. The biggest, there's some big pluses here that we're going to have to overcome, and one is they're very well coached. Okay, I think their coach is a very good coach, and they've got him wrapped up now for some years there because he's that good. All right. He makes the best of the talent he can find. So he goes under the radar and they find guys. And more importantly, they develop those guys. They develop those guys. This being a home game, it's gonna be tough because the quarterback, Sam Hartman, it seems like the guy's been there for 10 years.
Yeah.
He's been there. I think this is like his 5th year or something like that.
Yeah.
He's been there a while. So this guy is really solid. And he knows their offense, and he's smart. He's not physical, but he's very smart, and he delivers the ball on time. Mm-hmm. That's going to be a problem because they're going to score points. That will be a big test of our secondary, for us to win this game. They don't make a lot of mistakes. And they're sound in terms of their basics and their techniques. Most analysts, national analysts, are seeing they're going to win 8 to 9 games. To get to that 8 to 9 win total, they got to beat Florida State. For us to get to hopefully 6 to 7 wins, we have to beat them. This is a must game for Florida State to win on the road. With Jordan Travis, we're going to score more points. And if our defense is better, I believe we can win this game. I believe we will win the game. I pick FSU +3.
Okay.
By 3. The best thing going in our favor is they play Clemson before they play us. However, they get a bye week. So they get 2 weeks to get better and cure any hangover from Clemson, who they're going to probably lose to. Mm-hmm. All right.
Well, so I wouldn't necessarily say that.
Yeah, they're not going to want to lose at home to Florida State. It's going to be a barn burner. It's flip of a coin, could go either way. Florida State needs it, and they need it. Yeah. I picked Florida State with +3.
Yeah, I want to correct myself. Travis did play in the game, but it was one of those games where it was like split both ways, and basically Milton played the whole second half. And Travis was just in one of those places where
he's just ineffective. So,
yeah,
he's kind of ineffective.
And he only threw 6 passes, and it was just basically they went with Milton for some.
Now, let's remember too, Wake was 11-2 last year.
Yeah,
they were.
They bring back basically.
They bring back just about everybody,
and so
they're going to be a veteran team. They're not easy.
No, and that's what I'm saying. It's really how much better has Florida State? We know what Wake Forest is capable of. Bringing everybody, but has Florida State gotten 21 points better? Have they gotten 21 points better? Can they manage their turnovers? They turn over. I mean, Milton had 2 interceptions. He's gone. So I don't, but can they effectively run the ball, which they couldn't against Wake Forest this year? I think we have the running backs to do it. I think the line is going to get incrementally better to be able to do that. Can they make up that I think playability gap? I don't think it's just skill gap. I think it's ability to play the game, execute better with adding talent as well. So I think I think it'll be built in the trenches. I think the offensive line play will be a big indicator.
This is one of these games. We're going to be in a lot of games this year that are going to be exciting right down to the end. I don't think we can blow anybody out, and I don't think we're going to get blown out. I think it's going to be a lot of these games are going to be toss-up games.
Yeah.
And a blowout to me is 17 points or more. I think we're going to be okay, but it's going to come down to, a pass, a catch, a field goal. It's going to be a roller coaster.
All right. So you have Wake Forest as a win. I have it as a loss. Okay. All right. We're going next to October 8th at NC State. I will be at that game actually. So
Okay, that's a road game.
Yeah, it'll be in Raleigh, which is always a interesting place to play. Yeah, so I think once again, you're playing against another tough team that returns one of the top quarterbacks, if not in the ACC, probably in NCAA next season.
Let me
ACC.
hold it. I need to correct myself. I might have said I thought if I said this is incorrect. We are playing Wake Forest at home.
At home,
and that's why I give Florida State the edge, because it is a home game, and I'll give us 3 points there. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you're playing once again. It's a very similar situation with NC State. They lose some people, but they bring it back good pieces of their offense. 9-3 last year, second in the Atlantic, right behind Wake Forest. And they weren't a strong running team, but their passing game was stellar, top 20. And they bring back their quarterback. They're potentially Devin Leary, who threw for 3,500 yards last year, is super efficient. He does not throw interceptions. He only threw 5 interceptions all last year.
He's like Sam Hartman. He's very effective with the football in his hands.
He's not going to beat you with his legs. He is going to stand in the pocket, and he's going to make the right throw, and he's not going to make his team pay for it. He's super, and he can throw guys open. So I think once again, you're playing on the road. It's going to be in a hostile environment. You're playing against a veteran-led team. I don't see, honestly. I think it'll be a much more tighter game this season. It was kind of a blowout early last year, and then Florida State kind of made it tight at the end. I don't see. I don't know. It's gonna be tough for me to see Florida State winning this game. It was 28-14 last year, and that was at home. I don't see Florida State winning this game. I'm gonna give it 7. NC State 7 touchdown win on the road. Or Florida State on the road, they're going to lose by 7.
Yeah, NC State. There, a lot of the prognosticators who do this for a full-time living, they're really picking them to end up in the championship game.
Yeah,
they see that as a possibility. So if they see that, they know this is a strong team. They've got a veteran quarterback, Devin Leary, as you mentioned. That's always a good thing. You've got a proven guy there. When you put the football in his hands, if he can stay healthy, he can move the ball, they can score some points. So you're just trying to muster up some defense. If they have a weakness, it'll be a little bit on their defensive side, maybe in their defensive backfield. And that's where we're going to have to test their backfield. If they stack that line, I think a lot of teams don't respect Jordan Travis's arm. They respect his legs, but they see him as an average thrower.
That is the one caveat, is that once again, Jordan Travis did not play in last year's matchup, which I kind of take into consideration. It's tough because, like you said, you don't know if he's going to be healthy, but he was not, he wasn't a part of last year's game at all. So they didn't have to account for that.
So this game being on the road at NC State with Coach Dave Durison, he always has a good coaching staff. They're always well prepared. He's a good, respected coach. This is going to be a tough game, but with so much in NC's favorite, and that being a home game, a road game for us, I got to go with NC State in this one, and I see it about 7 to 10 points.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page. I do think the only caveat to my projection, which doesn't really count for anything, is that Jordan Travis did not play in this game, obviously, because he was hurt. You didn't have that playmaking ability on the field last year, which I do think swings for 7 or 10 points on the football. Just because he can make so many plays. But once again, do they respect his throwing ability? Maybe not. But you could not run the ball against NC State last year. Like, there was no running game possible, and I do think he opens up those lanes because of that dual threat option. So I do think they'll be able to run the ball more effectively next in the season against them. So I think, but it's on the road, like you said, and it's still going to be a battle, whether or not. And you lose guys like Jermaine Johnson who helped, stop the run. But we'll see. But I agree with you. I think it's going to be tough. And at 7 points, I think it'll be the difference there.
Yeah. So at this point, for this part of the season, for my predictions, okay, I've got Florida State at 4 wins and 2 losses.
Yep.
That's where I am. I don't. Where are you at? Do you know?
I have the full projections ready to go once we go through it.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
So the next game that we have is Clemson.
A home game. It's a home game for us.
Yeah. Home against Clemson. Game we probably should have won last year. I think even with all the turmoil, that was a winnable game. Just couldn't put it together there. You lose 20-30 on the road. Clemson was not playing well at the time. You kind of couldn't put it all together. It's at home finally, which is great. I think there's going to be a couple factors to this. Is Clemson able to put it back together? They lose a bunch of key staff members. Is DJ playing like freshman DJ, or is he playing like last year DJ? I think that we'll see if that quarterback's position for Clemson is.
They have a guy ready to go.
Is solid. We'll see. I don't trust people who have never thrown the ball before, but we'll see if DJ can actually, if he bounces back from it, and if he holds that position down. They did run all over the floor against us, so I think that's something that, once again, I think this is going to be a game that's going to be told within the trenches. Can Florida State stop Clemson from running the ball? Like, we could not stop Shipley last year at all. He ran for 128 yards and 2 touchdowns. That was a deciding factor in the second half. So I think between that and can this rebuilt offensive line give Travis enough time to be able to stand that pocket and deliver the ball? Travis is not going to be able to run all over the field against Clemson. He's going to have to stand in there and deliver 200 yards plus of passing, in my opinion, to win this game. He can't have one of these 150-yard games, stuff like that. He threw effectively last year, but it wasn't enough. There has to be some balance to this attack. You can't throw for 150, run for 65 yards as a team. There has to be a balanced attack for them to win this game. I do think the rebuild offensive line is going to help. I do think some of these, like Trey Benson, the addition of him to the running game, is have a dynamic playmaker like him is going to help. And if you have players like Winston Wright on the receiver room, some of these new weapons, I think you're going to have a new look for Clemson this year. I do think but I do overall think it's still always a tough game with Clemson. I'm going to give the game to Clemson. I'm going to give it to them by 3 points. So Florida State down 3.
Yeah, I'm just going to add to what you said. I can't disagree too much there. Again, they're looking at having a good team coming back. Most analysts think they're going to be better than they were last year. They see them as a 10-11 win team, and Florida State's got to be one of those wins for this Clemson team to move forward. I think a loss in Tallahassee by Clemson would be devastating for their season, but for Florida State, it would be the mountaintop. Okay, it would show, and at that point, we would be 4-2 coming into the game, and we knock off Clemson at home. We've got to get back to protecting home field advantage. We can't be this team that we win some at home, we lose some at home. Until we can protect our turf in most all sports, you cannot be a championship contender in anything unless you can win consistently at home. So This would be a huge victory for Florida State to pull an upset. Florida State's going to be the underdog going into this game.
Yeah.
Even at home, they're going to be the underdog going into the game.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure DJ Uglala, I can't even pronounce his name. I'm sorry. I'm not even sure he'll still be the quarterback by then. But the guy they got backing him up, who's not thrown a pass in college, this kid looks pretty good. He's got big high school numbers, and he's highly rated. He could be the quarterback if Clemson doesn't get off. They'll be into 6 games by then. They're going to know who their quarterback is by then.
Yeah.
The loss of Brent Venables as the defensive coordinator, how big an impact does that have on that defense, even though they got a lot of guys coming back?
Yeah, that's going to be.
We'll find out, because the guys calling the plays now are going to be totally different. It's a feel for the game. It's a feel, and it's a motivation for the game. And defensive coordinators have to be huge motivators. Yeah. And they've got to put guys in the right packages, or those guys start to lose faith. We're going to find out where they are 6 games in. A lot of people have Clemson picked 6-0 coming into that game.
Yeah, and it's also the strength of their schedule isn't
Yeah.
super tough. But yeah, I agree. I think
Okay.
they have the talent, so it's not like you can be. They have a stockload of talent too. So
well, we're going to get a big test. It's going to be a national caliber game when NC State plays Clemson.
Yeah.
I believe that's at Clemson. That is going to be a very fun game to watch. Very interesting game to watch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So that'll tell us a lot about NC State and Clemson. Okay.
So what is your selection?
Unfortunately, I got to pick the Clemson Tigers to win by 7.
Yeah. Okay. So we're on the same page there as well. So the last game of October 29th is Georgia Tech. So right before.
And I want to let people know we haven't coordinated on anything we talk about before we come on the air. No. So this isn't a well-produced machine, and we're not coordinating on who wins what.
No. So
I wish Florida State would win them all. But
just being realistic here,
realism cannot be ever mistaken for negativity or vice versa.
No. And then like I said, to close out October, you have Georgia Tech at
game number
home.
8. Game number 8.
And Georgia Tech, I think, as we all know, is at a low point. They went 3-9 last year, lost their last 6 games. Replaced their quarterback, kind of rotated between Sims and Yates. They lost their top offensive player, Jabbar Gibbs, who went to Alabama in the transfer portal. This team is going to be on the ropes. They're either going to be in full demolition mode by the time they hit Florida State, having played Clemson, Ole Miss, UCF, Pittsburgh. They're going to probably have at least 4 losses on their record.
They're going to have more than that,
and then they play Virginia right before us, so they may be 3-5 by the time.
I think they'll be like 2-5.
But they're going to be beat up coming in on the road. I'm gonna pick this is one of the games that Florida State has to win in a dominating fashion. They need these are the games they have to be able to check off. So I'm going to pick Florida State by 14. I'm not going to go in much detail. They between them losing players, Florida State having the level of talent to beat a team like Georgia Tech at home, it's got to be 14 points, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
Yeah, I would say this is an absolute win for Florida State. This is a must win. It shouldn't even be considered that. This is like Duquesne is a win and Georgia Tech is a win. Now, you can put that up on bulletin board material, Georgia Tech, do whatever the hell you want, but you're going to come into Tallahassee and you're going to get beat up, okay? We're going to be coming off the Clemson game, which is going to be a highly charged, emotional game. Could it be a trap game for us?
Yeah, I think so.
It could be a trap game either way. If we lose with a close game to Clemson, there's going to be a lot of emotional down. And if we beat Clemson, then we're going to be sky high. It could be a trap game for us, and Georgia Tech could take advantage of that. Their coaching staff is new, or not new, but Jeff Collins, this could be it for him. This is probably going to be his last year there. They lost the last 2 games of last season by a combined score of 100-0.
But they were playing Notre Dame in Georgia. I would say outside.
Wait a minute. They're just not there. And it's another game we can beat up on quarterback Jeff Sims. Jeff Sims pulled the old Chris Parsons. He's getting the recruiting class together, and he's all in, just like Chris Parsons, all in, and all of a sudden, bam, he's gone. Okay. And so like Chris Parsons. So he comes back in. We should make him pay for that decision. So I see this as, and they get to open up against Clemson. Who booked that? That's their opening game. Who booked that one? That just shows disorganization throughout the whole thing. They are not going to win 6 games. They're not going to go to the toilet bowl series. Okay. It's not going to happen. Here's who they're going to beat. Georgia Tech's going to beat maybe Western Carolina. Western Carolina always has a fairly decent team, but Western Carolina.
We don't need to go through their whole schedule.
No way. Duke and Virginia Tech. And I hate to say that. They may beat Virginia Tech or may not. So they're not looking good. Florida State wins by 17 points.
The only thing I'll put on this is that the last time these 2 teams met, Jeff Sims did beat Florida State. And so, like I said,
Yeah,
I want to say we'll beat them.
that
We'll
better
beat them
never happen
convincingly.
again, or we'll be looking for a new coach.
Well, like I said, if we lose a game like that late in the season, there's gonna be something done. There's gonna be a lot of things happening. So, but yeah. So, but yeah, that's
So I
interesting.
see.
So he picked a win there.
At this point, I have Florida State at 5-3.
Yeah. So you have them at 5-3.
With losses at LSU, close loss there, close loss to NC State, 7 points to me is close, and Clemson 7 points. So we'd be 5-3, but we got to beat Duquesne, we got to beat Louisville, we got to beat BC, we got to beat Wake, and we got to beat Georgia Tech.
Yeah, so I just put up on the screen your picks here, so everyone can see that. So yeah, so you got 5-3 projected record through the first 8 games of the season. Highlighting green on your picks: LSU, NC State, Clemson being the losses in that column, which I think is fair. And then if we look at my breakdown on this end as well, I'll switch it over here. Well, anything you want to add?
No, I would just want to add that these games are going to be close.
Yeah,
and they could go either way. I mean, you could lose a couple more of these games, or you could win a couple of these games.
Yeah,
it's going to be that type of season, but a lot depends on Jordan Travis.
Yeah. And I'll say we come out to the same records. This is my record. I just popped up here. I get to 5-3 as well. I basically have us kind of losing 3 straight, which it's going to be tough to swallow for the fan base. But I think, I could see some of these games rotating, but I think that Wake Forest, NC State, Clemson stretch is going to be tough. If you can pull one of those out, even better. But I think that's going to be a rough stretch going in the middle of the season, and you may have injuries by then. You're going to have got some guys banged up. I just think those 3 games are being tough back to back, and you could slide all 3 of them, but you're still at 5-3 in this position. You're still in a good position to close out your season to get to a bowl game. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom. If you're 5-3 at the middle of the season, you can still close out strong and get to a bowl game.
Yeah, that's true. You only need one more win out of the Final Four. Yeah. And if you can't get one win out of that Final Four, there will be a coaching change.
Yeah,
because right now, I mean, this is the danger of this. And I understand coaching philosophy in terms of positivity. Coaches, and I've done a little bit of coaching, certainly not on a national level like these guys. But what I'm saying is, you never allow your players to think negative. You don't have any negativity. You don't put out any negativity, honestly, to the media or to anyone else. You just don't do that. But in your head, as the coach, you have great nightmares going on in your head of what could happen, even though you try to block it out.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line.
I think that's what like you said, you have to build. Even if you go on the losing streak, you have to say, like, we're building. Like, as long as you're being competitive, as you said, like, we shouldn't be blown out by anybody. If we lose to NC State by 3, it is what it is. We lose to Clemson by 3, it is what it is. As long as you're not being blown out by 18, as long as you're playing competitive in each game, then you can envision yourself winning the next one. And like you said, if we're 5-3 midway through the season, or a little bit past midway through the season with Miami, Syracuse, Louisiana, and Florida, you're set up to a win. You can project yourself winning the last 2 or 4 of those games. That gets you to 7 wins. And with this level of schedule, this is one of the tougher schedules in the nation right now. Florida State is not playing an easy schedule, and that's, everyone says that. So a bad team, if Florida State has a bad team, it's going to show it. If they are not prepared, if they are not being coached well, they will not make a bowl, and then people will be let go, because a bad team is not making a bowl game with this schedule. If you are a good team and you're able to make a bowl, then that shows there's growth within this program. And I think that's what everybody wants to see.
Well, as a minimum, and I've said this before, as a minimum, this team has to win 6 games or Mike Norvell is gone.
Well,
they have to win a minimum of 6 games, and then he buys another year. He gets another year. And there's absolutely no reason why this team shouldn't win a minimum of 6 games, but they can't. There's no room to stumble on those people you're supposed to beat, like Georgia Tech. You have to beat Georgia Tech.
Yeah, okay? I would say on the schedule, there's only about 5 games that are potentially gimme games on this. Like you said,
gimme?
Nothing's a gimme in college football, but are easy games or lower.
I see two games on here that should be automatic wins. Duquesne, three. Duquesne, Georgia Tech, and Louisiana. That's it. Those are 3 victories. So you need to get 3 to 4 more victories. That's it.
But you can lump in Georgia Tech, Syracuse, and
well, I'm lumping them in. I mean, I think there's just going to be a lot of toss-ups here. That's, to be honest. I mean, it's going to be scary. I mean, there were years ago we walked into a field and I was either there or watching on TV. I expected to win,
but I
don't have that expectation right now. It's going to be a clawed out battle.
The good Florida State team beats Syracuse. A bad game plan, the bad coach team of Florida State team it loses to Syracuse. That's just Syracuse in no way.
I'm not sure
there's no dimension that Syracuse football is better than Florida State. I don't care how many bad recruiting cycles we've had. Syracuse has no right to beat Florida State in any dimension.
I agree with you.
So if you lose that game, you're badly prepared or bad.
So many of these games are going to be so close that it comes down. You could lose a game. You know, you're down there, you're kicking a 15-yard field goal, and the snap goes bad, and you lose the game.
But you don't lose 7, 8, 9, 10 games.
You're saying we shouldn't be in a position to lose these close games against those teams. You know?
Because those are anomalies. You're not going to lose every game, but one team ever so often will have bad luck but you're not going to lose every game on a 50-yard field goal. You're putting yourself in the position.
You shouldn't be putting yourself in that position.
Yeah. If you're fumbling the ball 3 times a game, 4 times, you deserve to lose at that point. That's not.
There's going to be some early indicators once we get through the Duquesne scrimmage. Is against LSU. How many times do we get out off the field with our defense 3 and out, make the other team punt? We can't give up these long drives. You know what I mean? And that's an indicator. We're going to have to make significant increases in all of our national stats to get to 7 wins and maybe even 6.
Yeah. So I think we got a lot to see. Like I said, we're only a couple weeks now, August 4th.
Yeah.
3 weeks away from the first game of the season against Duquesne on August 27th.
Plenty of tickets left for that game.
Yeah, 3 weeks away. So get your tickets if you don't have them already. Would be a good game to go see.
Yeah, that's you can get in there for $10. Okay, you go on StubHub, Ticketmaster. You don't have to go through the box office where they'll want 25 or 30, but maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But you go on StubHub, people are selling their season tickets. They're not going to go to the game. You can get in there, take your whole family of 4, and be done at $40.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So definitely,
so get out there, see the game, but it's going to be hot as double L's because it's a 5 o'clock game.
Yeah. But enjoy it. Go down there, see the team for cheap price, and have a good time. But I mean, I think that's most of on my end. Anything else you want to cover? I think
no. I think that's kind of the highlights. The team's they're gonna have a Saturday scrimmage.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Full padded scrimmage, and they're gonna be going after it. They're still trying to figure out who can play. Who's going to start. Coach Norvell and the team and the media rule number I think number 1 or number 2, as one party told me, said, you don't ask about the depth charts that much. They don't want to get into that. They don't want to get into injuries. They don't want to get into the depth chart. They don't want to get into a lot of things. So I'm not sure what the hell we learn, but the media has to cover this because that's their damn job. Yeah. If your full-time job is to cover Florida State, you got to pump out something out there, right? You got to pump something out. So I get that, and I appreciate what these guys do. I do, but the coach is pretty close to the vest, in that regard. But it's going to be exciting. You better put your seatbelts on and get ready to go. I've got one other thing before we terminate this. And it's a shout out. It's not football, okay?
Oh, here we go. No, oh God. Please.
Yeah, I am going to say it.
Please, no,
FSU,
please.
Ladies soccer, number 1 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1 rated preseason in the country with a new coach.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
With Brian Pensky.
Yep.
Hey, no bullseye on your back there, Brian. No pressure there, buddy. He comes in. He had to coach a lot of the girls to come back in.
Yeah.
Out of the portal. He had to sell them on who he is, what I'm here to do, and so on. So best of luck to the Lady Knowles soccer. Go out there and give them hell, ladies.
Absolutely. No, totally agree with you there.
Yeah, this is a total. We do.
You made it sound like it was something off the topic. Like,
why do I scare you? I scare you a lot. Hey, on our Twitter, a lot of times some people say, "Well, we don't know if that's KB or you." Maybe I'm going to start putting my initials BR next to it.
I think
would you like me to do that?
I would.
Okay, I'll put BR. You put KB when you send out something.
Yeah. Okay.
And then everybody will know who's sending out what.
Good.
Okay.
I would appreciate that. And, if we have any soccer fans out there who's interested, Florida State released their schedule. So you can go to the website and see that they opened up August 18th with South Carolina. So you can check out the home schedule and
check that schedule out
and see if they have any crossover games.
No cream puffs on that.
Yeah. So check them out.
Well, you got to play the best to be the best.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think they're gonna do it then for us. A lot to go over. So we'll eventually have our part 3 before the season begins. We'll cover the last third of the season, the last 4 games of the season for the ACC championship, and we'll get our final record projections before the season. And then, of course, we'll cover any breaking news, breaking topics that have to do with Florida State. And then we'll head into the first game of the season. We'll do a recap of the game, Duquesne game, and as we go into that. But like I said, if you don't follow us on Twitter already, it's Seminoles SL365 on Twitter. You can follow us there. We do a lot more, kind of tweets. Bruce does a lot of tweets on that end, so you can follow us there. And then, as always, subscribe to us here on YouTube at Seminoles Sideline 365. Give it a like, and then follow us on Amazon, Google Podcasts, and Apple, and listen to us whenever you have a chance. So that'll do it for us. Thank you all for
let us know if I should wear my hat more or not. Is there too much reflection?
Yep. Audio listeners, you can't see it, but you didn't miss much. So thank you all. Have a good one, and we'll see you next week. Take care, everyone.
All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great week.